we came in here, I had no rehearsal.
Yeah, thanks, Scratch, for joining us. Just meet you now.
You're welcome. Nice to meet you, Dan.
You just come back from London.
Yeah.
Tell me this, what's the K Road of London?
The K Road. Well, I didn't actually go to. I just went to Heathrow and then went straight down to Brighton and then along to Hastings. And Hastings is a small seaside town that used to be rough as fucking hell, but it's like a K Road. The whole thing is like the good parts of K Road, because it's, people worry that it's being gentrified, but people moving down from London, but the artists are moving there, so there's still honour of the, they used to put all the unemployable, the drug addicts and the asylum seekers down there out of the way, and but now it's got the honour of the old firm, but with nice coffee.
What's this place?
Hastings.
Hastings.
Yeah.
We've got a Hastings in New Zealand too.
Yeah. Hastings. It's East Sussex. It's the last town. Well, I think Rye's the last town. It's I'm from Brighton, so it's maybe 30 miles along the coast. Fishing town, obviously famous for the Battle of Hastings.
Bowie came from Brixton, eh?
Who?
Bowie.
Bowie. Yeah. Bowie came from Brixton, and
Brixton or Brighton?
No, Brixton. He was born in Brixton, and at the time, who'd believe it? But on the scene there was three people called David Jones.
Yeah, David Jones.
So everybody, we can't have three people on our books all called David Jones. So all right. Oh, that's better. Thanks, Dan. Oh, mate. We came in here. I had no rehearsal.
I want to hear more about these David Jones. I know there's David Jones from the Monkees.
Yep.
Davy Jones, David, a.k.a. David Bowie.
Yep.
Oh, his original name was David Jones.
Yeah. So...
David Jones is a concept artist that used to paint with, in an extraordinary way with human waste, I think.
Nice.
And he kept his name. He's the...
Well, I guess nobody wanted to be associated with that nonsense.
Well, he certainly didn't need a manager, did he?
Take care of my own shit.
That works shit.
Well, you've got to say, well, he's giving it a go.
Mind you, have you heard David Bowie's first hit, the Goblin or something?
Oh, yes, I have.
It's fucking awful.
Oh, well, no, David Bowie, he was famous for, cruising around pubs in, like Sussex or Essex, and seeing a band and just saying, right, I'll take the whole band.
Right.
All ready.
Yeah.
And you do what you're told, and then I'm going to sack you in 9 months. Yeah. And you think all those songs, you think, you get the songbook. Oh, I'll learn this one on the guitar. But he played in minor, major, and it's just like all over the place. It's just like, surely they sound simple, but he was actually a genius.
Mm-hmm. Oh, he was. I cried more when David Bowie died. I bawled my eyes out. I got like a half a dozen big bottles of Valium. I was homeless at the time. I sat in the laundromat opposite the Thirsty Dog, and I tapped into somebody's Wi-Fi, and I just played David Bowie songs all day and bawled my eyes out. I'm dying to.
The Sex Pistols got their equipment by stealing it from a David Bowie show while the roadies were sleeping.
Yes, they got a lot of their kit.
Well, I went to school with toe rags like Johnny Lydon and things like that.
Did really?
Oh yeah, with people that would always fucking,
AKA
something fucking, something's wrong. It's all shit. Everything's fucking crap. And they would just, I actually I'm quite an optimistic person. And if somebody, I think I'm contributing to the evening, somebody goes, it's all fucking crap scratch, and he nicked everything. The Sex Pistols completely. They went to see Ian Dury in '74, and even the scarf and the way, he hasn't, Johnny Rotten hasn't got polio, but he still stands with a bit of a, so he just completely ripped that off. And Holiday in the Sun,
but
it's a jam song. is, you know, it is a jam song, right?
But Johnny Lydon, aka Johnny Rotten,
Yeah.
didn't want to be in the Sex Pistols.
No, but
He had no interest in being a pop star.
well, no, well now he's he markets kind of butter. You know, he's more famous in England for the butter adverts. So, but he, you know, is that selling out? Of course it fucking is. Let's not get off the point.
What's
Yeah.
the one in London, though, that street, the big street?
King's Road.
Is that the kind of K Road of London?
It was back then, but it's long become. You know, you've seen shows like Made in Chelsea. It's where the absolute tospots live, and Morrissey lived there on the King's Road, and he said, I just want to be treated as a normal thing. But he had 5 red roses put in his window box every morning. So he thought, I think Morrissey lives up there. And we used to go there as punks, you know, in young punk, 78, 79. We'd go up to the King's Road, and it was good. But now it's I don't go to Chelsea so much.
Not many punk bands these days either.
No,
But what is punk anymore? You know, punk was 3 chords played badly with a heavy drum beat. Now it's, you know, Placebo, it's
Post-punk.
My Chemical Romance, it's Sublime, it's Disturbed. It's like these punk symphonies.
Well, yeah, but we used to get the Enemy, like you got up there, and look in the back for the alternative charts. But then, you know, everybody became independent. So it's like, well, I want to be independent. I don't, you know, what am I going to do? You know, so it's changed. Punk, you shouldn't use really that word. Punk rockers doesn't even have to be about music. You meet somebody you like, and even if they're 70 years old, you go, punk rock.
Yeah, totally. That's what people look. People think it's a fashion or a music. It's an ideology. You know, it's part of your belief system and your culture, and it's like anarchy. What do we want? Nothing.
Yeah, yeah. See, well, I luckily I wasn't quite old enough. I came along. I was, you know, when I was 11, I was buying albums like The Clash. You know, albums like that. You know, which was a couple of years, and then turning into, and then I like Buzzcocks, I like Magazine, which turned into New Wave, which is.
I always thought Buzzcocks was a sex toy.
Well, it's it is. Well, it is. You know, nobody knows why Howard Devoto and Pete Shelley, who were great friends, after one night never talked again in their lives. So I think Buzzcocks possibly was something to do with a kind of sex toy.
It's not just a clever name.
I love conspiracy theories.
I wrote it on my school bag, and all these kind of rockers, these older lads went, "Ooh, Busby Cox," and they beat me up and took my bag. And I thought, well, you know, writing bands' names on your bag is kind of a bit of a wanky thing to do. To be honest.
Well, no, it's not. We all do it. We that's our culture.
But Billy Bragg, you know, that was who we went to see if we wanted a bit left wing, a bit right on. Wearing badges is not enough in days like these, and that's what punk as a fashion, yeah. But I'm a punk rock, but I like
Susie is a punk rocker.
I like music. I like music to resolve and to be a little bit more organised than going, "You're a fucking cunt. You're a fucking cunt." Oh yeah.
What do you do on K Road, Scratch?
What do I do? Well, I just I enjoy it. I love it. I've got a few kind of companies that kind of done it. You know, Entrepreneur is one. It's like an anti-marketing thing.
Cool.
I like to help people that need my help, give stuff away, and just meet people. You know, just meet, be in a community.
This is your community. Yeah.
This is my community, and I used to be. I was here when, you know, I used to in the 90s when Calibre, and I used to be in the clubs, back of the clubs, and loving the scene. But I'd keep myself off the kind of K road, you know. It always getting daylight. You know, but now I'm happily, you know, I've got this ridiculous, you know, I live with this girl who's got a kind of vintage clothing shop. I wear ridiculous.
I like your socks.
Tracksuits.
Who's that on your socks?
I think it's a Muppet.
No, it's Beaker.
Beaker from the Muppets.
Yeah.
He's like always the hapless helper to the scientist.
And he's the shape of your legs, right? That's his
He
body shape.
totally is.
He's the shape of your legs.
Right.
Yeah, that's a break.
That's a bit personal.
Well, I was just trying to say, all right, yeah, break, cut, stop.
Be away for the next.
Forgive our Westminsters as we forgive those who Westminster against us.
Or K Road against us.
Deliver us from evil.
Right, here we're back. Part 2. Interview with Scratch. Now, we spoke a lot about the Sex Pistols and Johnny Lydon, Johnny Rotten. What about the local scene? What's happening on K Road?
It's healthy. It's great. New Zealand is always, to me, you don't read the music press bullshit. You don't kind of fucking show off. But there's people doing brilliant music all the time, and just doing it and still having their own lives. You know, out in Europe. And there's always been brilliant music, and it's just as healthy, you know, like I've got 3D's T-shirt on, you've got Flying In, you know, a record shop over the road. And
we've got a new record shop in the mall here, just across from the K Road Chronicle studio. We've got, it's either Good View Vision Records, or he might change the name of that, I don't know, but he's open, he's trading. I had organic natural whole foods for about a year, so it was like, they either get new signs or change the name of the paper to Natural Whole Food Studios, but that didn't really catch on.
I used to be involved with the Milky Bar Kid, a good friend of mine he's entrepreneur, and it's called Name Bank was the business, and we would we put a big bait out. We would name anything if people wanted. To name a corporation and pay us, we'd come up with suggestion, Name Bank, and now my company that never really gets off the ground, I don't care, Sound Stupid Music, and we only ever got one job, and it was a kind of towy little lesbian and we named her house on Waiheke, and she didn't pay us. Nice. That was 9 years ago, but you never know. If you want a name, email us.
What would you name this podcast?
Below, I'd name this podcast Never Mind the Bollocks, Six has had a couple of beers.
I'm totally sober.
I'm jet lagged and I've had a couple of beers.
But what's happening with the Thirsty Dog? It never seems to be open.
I don't know anything about things that aren't happening. I can just walk into places at any. I'm not being a smart ass. Because I have to take overseas, you know, cool people that are fucking, you know, rappers. I have to take them to the scene, but I don't fucking really know.
Why are you taking cool rappers to the scene?
Oh well, that's what I do. That's what I've done for 20 years as a part-time job. It's just look after them for the 3 or 4 days or 2 days that they're in.
What's that job title?
It's a
look after
chauffeur, I suppose.
Chauffeur, right?
Chauffeur
for the rich and famous.
So who's your biggest name? Come on, name drop.
Chauffeur for the rich.
I don't want a name drop. You know,
Come on, just one name.
One name. Oh, what's he called? Stevie Wonder.
Really? Did you have Stevie Wonder in your car?
Yeah. And
that's awesome.
He fell asleep. He took me out. I usually take him to the restaurant or whatever, and then I get him seated. But I don't join their scene, you know, because I've got my car outside. I just make sure while they're in the country, they're safe and they have a good time. But he invited me in. He's kind of got a teacher from North London, and he's got a young kind of like who organises a bit of a party, a young guy, and just lovely people. And he fell asleep while I was telling my life story because he was relaxed.
Yeah, and told your life story.
But not only, we were at Grand Harbour, which they've got a big wheel that you going around, and so he loved the suit, and I was going like that. And
what's the wheel? Sorry.
What's the wheel?
You know, in Japanese restaurants.
Oh yeah,
you know,
spinning table.
Spinning, yeah. And so he's sitting over there and wants more soup, and I'm thinking, well, Here we go,
Here
Stevie.
you go, Stevie.
And then, so he didn't ask. Somebody asked me, "Oh, so what are you about?" You thought, "Oh, I'm from Brighton." Oh, you came over here, and he fell asleep. He was so relaxed with everything. And that, to me, he was a lovely man. And the day he left after 5 days, we played at Vector Arena, and he left. And I drove him in this. It was a V-dub that had been done out in the back by Bentley, and we sold it the very next day for 250,000. It was lovely, but it was like a Scooby-Doo pimped out kind of thing. And then we drove him to the airport, and he went straight to play at Obama's inauguration.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know,
Wow.
to me that was he was one of the nicest people that I've had to work with, because I've also, it's not necessarily, I've had people that I love their music, but then I have to deal with, oh dear, I don't really like you. But I'm working. It doesn't matter. I infamously turned down, you know, Prince just before he died played at the Civic, and I turned down that job, and because I knew kind of what that would be like. He'd have me in the loading dock with no eye contact and, you know, things like that. And so I went and did Ronan Keating, who I'd had 3 times before. Don't like his music, but he's a great man to be with, and and
takes care of you.
He takes care of me, and he's naughty. You know, he's got the record company going, Scratch, you know, make sure you get him to this dinner, your record thing. And he jumps out of my car and goes, "Family bar, Scratch, what's that call? We're going there." And the people are going,
Imagine that, like,
you know, I'm getting it in my
karaoke
ear.
night,
What the
Ronan.
fuck are you doing, Scratch?
Yeah.
I said, well, he wants to fucking get a bit pissed in Family Bar.
Yeah.
You know, so that's why I did it. With all due respect to you two nice blokes, I don't want to talk about what I do as part-time job.
Yeah, that was a
All
good
right?
story though. I like that.
Thank
It's
you.
a great story.
Stevie Wonder.
So what do you want to talk about?
Well, I don't really want to talk about much, apart from it's good to see you. It's good to see somebody actually on the street that I can identify that is just trying to say, look, treat people a bit better, help people if they, you know, they're having a bad day, you know. Just because you've been harassed by somebody who's kind of rudely asked you for money doesn't mean somebody just up the road is just wants to give you something, and it's very important. And after COVID, and people didn't really take it like I thought this is a great chance to realise, after we've all been freaked out, that community is what we've got to do, a
important,
factory
so
reset. But no, we've gone back to fucking people going, oh, I'm going to a dinner party, I'm a tosser.
Look, Scratch, I want to take this opportunity to thank you for coming on the Cairo Chronicles
Thank you.
podcast. Is there anything you want to contribute before we wind up?
Well, you might have heard, I don't know whether you got it, but I've got a thing, I get a bee in my bonnet, and it's for the last 7 or 8 years, it's been about Brian from the Destiny Church. I find it so abhorrent. So I've written songs. I've even joined the middle of his convoy.
Where can we find those songs?
Well, I can. Well, you just asked me to play them. You know, you've just been to my house, so I just play them for.
Awesome. Thank you,
Thank
Scratch.
you.
Thanks,
It's been
Scratch.
amazing. Thank
Fun.
you, Dan, for being
Yeah.
my producer. Thank you, everybody that tuned in. Remember, we survive on donations. So, you know, click on the Patreon link. Subscribe, like, share with your friends. Thanks for coming.
And I know you've finished it up, but thanks for you, and it's very nice to meet you, Dan.
Thank you, Scratch.
Bye.
Awesome.